When I was 10 years old, my dad bought me a bicycle. And before he gave it to me, he warned me about the places where I should not go ride this bike. So 2 months after getting this bike, while riding in one of those places where he warned me not to go, I got robbed. Someone stole my bike. Now I was devastated and crushed by that because I really, really loved that bike. So I went home that afternoon and I cried myself to sleep. And in the evening, when my dad came home, after my mother told him what had happened, he looks at me and he sarcastically says to me that I sold that bike to make some money. Now, I was offended. And quite frankly, as a 10-year-old, my feelings were hurt. But I did not try to leave that house to go find a new home or find new parents who would not say mean, offensive things to me. Because I knew that despite my father saying those things, deep down, he still cared about me. I knew that deep down, he cared about my future. And I trusted that. Because neither did he try to kick me out of his house for being disobedient by riding that bike where he clearly told me not to. He did not strategize on ways to make me uncomfortable in his house so that I might leave, because he knew that I learned a lesson out of that situation. And because of it, I'll become a better person. And that next time he tells me not to do something, I'd listen to him. And he trusted that. So there was some kind of a mutual trust that existed between me and my father, just like a normal relationship of a father and a son. Every time I think about that story, I think about leaders in organizations and those that they lead. And I always ask myself, what would be the impact for any organization out there if leaders created an environment where that same kind of mutual trust existed between them and those that they lead? What would be the impact on productivity, despite the written warnings, the verbal warnings, and all those corrective measures that associates get, if associates still believed, and most importantly, trusted, that their leaders want what's best for them and their careers? What would be the impact on the way associates engage themselves with their responsibilities at work? What about growth? How can that mutual trust between a leader and their associates impact growth? Not just for that associate, but for the organization. And if you're a business, your customers, that shared value. How can trust positively impact all these things? As a teenager, I knew that I wanted to be a bank teller when I grow up. And part of the reason was because of my cousin Jocelyn, who worked as a teller at a bank in Kenya where I grew up. Every time Jocelyn spoke about her boss, every time she spoke about her coworkers, her customers, Jocelyn was always happy. Jocelyn always had a smile on her face whenever she spoke about her job. She took so much pride in whom she worked for. And it was then when I saw that, I knew that when I grow up, I want to be a bank teller, just my cousin Jocelyn. So a few months after I finished high school, my mother and I got a wonderful opportunity to move and live in the United States. And we were really excited about this move. To put it into perspective of how excited my mother and I were, for those of you with children, it was like telling your child that you're about to sell your house and move with them to Disney to live there for the rest of their lives. So it was magical. So we moved, and I remember working for a local businessman here in Birmingham, a great guy, until sometime in 2006 when I decided that it was time for me to get into my dream job of working as a bank teller. So I became a teller in 2006, And 1 year after working as a teller, my manager at the time felt like I could be more resourceful to our company if I worked as a financial sales specialist. So she promoted me to a financial specialist in 2007. And after this promotion, there were some struggles. I did struggle. And I remember getting a written warning, and I vividly remember getting some tough one-on-one coaching sessions with my boss. But it was after these corrective measures that I started showing improvements in my performance, eventually earning a promotion to be an assistant manager in 2011. 2 years after that, I was promoted to be a branch manager. Now I realize that the progress in my career could have stopped or maybe slowed down somewhere between 2007 and 2011 if a mutual trust between me and my boss did not exist. Because that was a time when I was going through those corrective measures, and if that trust wasn't there, I could have looked at those corrective measures as punishments, the result of which could have been perhaps me trying to transfer to a different department, or even worse, me trying to get a job in another company, which could have slowed my career down. But I did not do any of those things because I trusted that the corrective measures that were being done on me at that time, they were being done on me to make me a better banker. And they did. I'm saying all these things to emphasize what it really means to work at a place where leaders have created an environment where mutual trust exists between them and those that they lead. For me, it means that those who have been charged with the responsibility of supervising me and my peers, of making sure that we do what we are supposed to do on a daily basis, they go beyond that and they uncover any hidden potential that we might have, and perhaps we never knew we had. And for me, that hidden potential was leadership. And all this happened at a time when I felt being a bank teller was adequate enough for me. How can you not trust such a process? Now, it's very common for companies to ask their employees if their leaders seem to care about them. Because of that environment that my leaders have created, an environment that not only allows me to have a mutual trust with them, but also with my peers, whom, by the way, I've had a huge role to get me to where I am today. Because of all these leaders, anytime I get that question, does your leader seem to care about you as a person? I can confidently answer yes. Now let me finish with a question to any leaders that we might have in our audience today. If those that you lead were asked that very same question, does my leader seem to care about you as a person? How will they answer that question? Thank you very much.